Okay, so take out your note sheets, and hopefully this time most of you will be able to access this. And please, if you're not able to, send me an email or send me something on Edmodo, and hopefully these note sheets will coordinate a little bit better this time. And I want to thank you all for your patience and everything with this, and hopefully you're starting to enjoy this a little more. Those of you that were struggling a little bit with this. So this is section 1-4, and this is measuring and classifying angles. And I think a lot of this, again, will be a review for you. There will be some algebra applied to this, so you'll hopefully see why we reviewed algebra and that it's important that you understand how to do algebra in this. So first thing, of course, is just understanding what the angle is and knowing these different parts. So in the space that I provided, you should know these parts here. The vertex is always going to be where these two rays are going to be meeting each other. So you've got this ray AC, and then you've got this ray AB. So that's how you make an angle. Here's the formal definition. Again, I'm going to go through this fast, so you have to pause this. And, on the bottom of your screen, if the pause is not working, you just have to drag that little there's like a little kind of a diamond kind of a thing underneath the play button. You might just have to drag that back. So here's an example. So go ahead, pause and copy this down. And we want to name 3 angles in this diagram. Now, one thing I'm going to be careful of, and they have this over on the side here too, you have to be really careful about this. You can't just name, like right here. If you want to name this angle right here, this big angle ABD, you cannot just name this angle B. Because if you were to name this angle B, I would have no idea if you mean this big angle or this little angle or this little angle. The only time you can use one letter for an angle is if you just have, let me go back here a second. See here how this guy right here was just one single angle? You could just call this angle A, like they had said down here, because there is just one single angle coming out of this vertex. The problem with this one is you have 2 angles coming out, and then you also have this bigger one. So go ahead and think about what are 3 angles that you could name, and keep in mind you always have to have this vertex as the middle point. So if we take a look at this, here's the answers. It says here you should not name any of these B because of the whole thing that I just explained. This is the angle symbol. It looks like the less than. You have to use this symbol. If you don't, I don't know what you're talking about. So you could either name this angle ABC or CBA or CBD or DBC. The big one ABD or DBA. But notice again, they all have that B in the middle. And then here is postulate for the angle addition postulate. This is a lot like the segment addition postulate. And again, you can go ahead and pause this and you can copy this down. Basically what this is saying is that if you have 2 little angles, they're going to make this whole big angle. And again, symbolism here, this little arc mark right there, that means that they're talking about that whole angle right here, from here to here. Here's one other thing that I'm going to talk about here. This little cursive M. This stands for the measurement. This means the measure of angle RST. So what this is saying is that the measure of angle RST, the big one, is equal to the measure of RSP plus the measure of RPST. So the 2 little guys equal the whole big thing. And then I kind of say duh in the corner here. Okay, so here's an example. Again, go ahead. I actually think on your note sheets I put this here for you so you had a better reference point. Okay, got to read the information. Given that the measure of angle GFJ is 155. So you've got to go over here and go, now which one is GFJ? Well, GFJ is the whole big angle. So from here all the way to here is 155. We want to find the measure of the 2 little guys, GFH and HFJ. So you have to be able to interpret this graph, and you're going to have to be able to set up the equation like this. Now again, I know a lot of you don't like to do this, set up this algebra stuff here, but you have to be able to do that. So you have to be able to set up an equation that represents what's going on here by using the segment addition postulate. So the whole big thing, the measure of angle GFJ, is equal to what two angles put together. So it's going to be these two. And then what you're going to do is you're going to substitute in the things that you know and the things that you don't know, and then you're going to solve this algebraic equation. So you know that GFJ is 155 because they told you. And then you know that GFH is 4x plus 4 because they said that right here. Okay, GFH. And then you have HFJ, they tell you what this arrow is right here, that part right there. So you can see how you substitute. And then now this is just pretty much an algebraic equation. So what you're going to do is just combine your like terms, make sure you do your algebra correctly, and then make sure you answer the question. So go ahead, you can pause this, and then just see if you can figure this out. And then go ahead and check your answers. Get x is equal to 19. Now, of course, that's not the answer. That's just what x is equal to. So you have to then go ahead and plug it back in. So this x equal to 19, you're going to plug in here, and you're going to plug in here. Now, a way you can double check yourself is that when you get this and you plug this in, this angle here plus this angle here should be equal to 155. So that's how you can tell if you did it correctly. So you go ahead, plug her in, and this is what. So if you notice, 80 plus 75 is going to give you your 155. So here's another one. Now again here, if they hadn't told you that VRS is a right angle, you'd be able to do this problem without that information in words, because right here, if you remember, that's your information that this is a right angle, which means it's 90 degrees. So again, just do this, just try to set this up before I go on with this. This angle right here, VRT plus TRS, if you put those two together, what do those have to add up to be equal to? So think about that. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to solve this, or you're going to set this up using that angle addition postulate. So think of an equation that you could set up using that. So again, you have to be able to interpret the graph, and you have to be able to apply the algebra that goes with it. So you've got that angle, VRT comes from this, TRS comes from that, added together they give you 90. So you go ahead, solve. So go ahead and try to do that. So again, I just say here on the side, your job is to be able to get from here down to there. And you have to be able to show your work. So when we combine these, we're going to get what? 4x. We're going to get -2. We're going to then add the 2 to both sides. And then we're going to divide by 4. Then we're going to get an answer. And then we're going to plug her back in. And when we get these, that 19 plus 71, that equals 90. So that makes sense. And then here we have another thing, and just to practice interpreting graphs. You have a trapezoid right here. And notice how you have these double arc marks right here. That one and that one. And then you have single arc marks. Now, these two, since they're both double, that means that that angle L must be congruent to that angle M. And we know that the measure of angle P right here is 120. And we're wondering, well, if angle P is equal to 120, what's the measure of angle N? So if these two are congruent, it's maybe a little obvious right there. So be careful, again, this M, that's not a variable, that means the measure of angle N. So that's it. That's all you have for notes on this one. So it was fairly easy. And just again, if you had any issues with this, please let me know. Oh, excuse me, there's another one here. Apologize for that. There's one more. Here's another one. They say in the diagram at the right, you've got, it's missing the ray here, but WY bisects. So what do you think bisects means? Think about bisecting something. It's coming through here and it's splitting it into two equal pieces. Again, you have this right here, that arc mark there means that XWY is going to be congruent to YWZ. So you know that guy is congruent to that guy. Well, if XWY is equal to 29, XWY is equal to 29, they want you to find the measure of XWZ, which is the whole big one. So, just be careful with this part. Sometimes you guys will give me the wrong answer, like you just don't pay attention here. Like some people might have told me, oh, it's 29, because you were just like, oh, that's 29, that's got to be 29. But pay attention to what they're asking you here, okay? And really they're asking you for this whole angle. That's the final answer that they're looking for. So be careful with that. So again, we could set that up by the angle addition postulate. And that's pretty much what I just said there. So basically you're going to take 29 plus 29 and you're going to get 58. And that is actually all for the notes.